All right. Tonight we have Millikan alumni Jon Walters here with us today. Hello, John. Nice to have you.
Hey, Seamus, grab me on.
John graduated in 2019 from Millikan University with a degree in digital media marketing, and he works for State Farm out in Tennessee. So the first question I have for you, John, is why were you interested in digital media marketing at Millikan?
I knew I wanted to be in the Tabor School of Business, so that was one thing, and just kind of looking at all the options. Marketing is one thing that's always stood out to me. I've always been pretty interested in different companies and the way they brand their products and their company, as well as individuals and kind of personal branding. So just kind of looking over that and reading, some of the summaries there of the courses and the major as a whole, I thought it would be a good route. So
Awesome. Awesome. So the next question I have for you is how is digital media marketing related to your career, if at all, if it is or is not?
yeah, so this is actually the second job that I've had since I graduated. I'd say, maybe more so with my first job. I was with a company, Sumis Medical Laser. Medical sales, doing that. And, there was a lot more of kind of branding. We were selling a product, a physical product. Now with insurance, it's a little bit different. We're not, selling an iPhone or a medical laser, anything like that. But we definitely still have a lot of marketing and different things going on. Especially, we learned a lot about SEO, search engine optimization, and clearly we want to be doing a lot of that. Make sure that we're the top search result whenever people in the area look for insurance in Franklin, Nashville, Brentwood, anywhere around these surrounding areas. So that's one thing that's been huge. And with the other job, there was definitely more more stuff on display on the website, and because it was a product. But I feel like I've had pretty good experience now, kind of on both ends of the spectrum there, and it's definitely been useful.
Absolutely. And how did your time at Tabor help you prepare for your career?
I think just the professors we had, and a lot of the coursework we were doing, as far as I think of House and Carey, obviously, and they put us through a lot of great projects that definitely prepared us, made us kind of see what it would be like in the real world, and being able to apply some of the things we learned, not so much just take a test, memorize this, and forget it.
Yeah,
Actually doing projects that I feel like they really stick with us. So I think that's the biggest thing whenever I look back at Tabor.
I absolutely agree with that. And did you play any sports at Millikan?
Yeah, I played baseball for 4 years.
And how did baseball affect your classes? Was it hard to like balance classes and baseball?
Yeah. Sometimes it was. In the spring, the schedule's pretty crazy. Uh, lots of practices, games. We played a lot of games on the weekend, but definitely a handful of midweek games in there. So that could make it tricky at times if you're not finished with all your classes by noon, or some days whenever we're traveling midweek, we just have
Yeah,
to scratch the whole day of classes. So it can be kind of tough balancing it there. But I would say that we had, such great teachers and other classmates that they were willing to work with us and kind of make it a lot easier. So I would say it was kind of difficult, but you learn to balance it, and then it gets pretty normal. And like I said, with the help of some of the teachers and our other classmates, they made it a lot easier.
absolutely. And if you could go back, would you play baseball again in college?
Oh yeah. There's
Absolutely.
made some of my best friends there, guys I keep up with all the time, still talk to weekly, still come back to Illinois to visit. They come out here to visit me. It definitely, some of my best memories in college, I definitely think back, and it's on the baseball field or just hanging out with the guys at our house or someone's apartment. So I definitely go back and do that again.
So it's only been a few years since you've last left Millikan, but can you describe your career path so far?
Yeah. So like I mentioned earlier, moved. I guess I stayed in Illinois for a couple months after graduation, and then I moved down to Tennessee. Got started in medical sales here in Franklin. Did that for about 11 months, 12 months maybe. I liked it. Everything was good. And then I left there, and there was kind of a little period where I wasn't doing too much. wasn't too interested in searching for a job. I mean, I was learning and reading a lot and doing a lot of different things. And I've also been coaching 16U baseball team, doing a lot of lessons there. So that was kind of, taking my time. And then I decided, I might want to start looking into things again. I'm very familiar with State Farm. The headquarters is in Bloomington, Illinois, and that's where I've lived my whole life. So started looking around down here and found a good opportunity and was able to jump in there. So I've been working with State Farm now for about 2.5 months.
So you mentioned Bloomington, Illinois, but why, and you lived there pretty much your whole life.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you decide to move to Tennessee instead of going back to Bloomington, Illinois, where the headquarters is?
Well, my girlfriend actually, she went to Belmont University, and I knew that I wanted to get out of Illinois.
Yep.
I just being there my whole life, I was kind of ready for something different. And like I said, Annie, my girlfriend, she went to Belmont. So I had come down here a handful of times throughout college and visited and was able to check it out. Really love Tennessee, love the Nashville, Franklin, Brentwood area. It's all great. People are great. The weather's a little bit better. I mean, it's not like Florida or something, but weather's definitely a little bit better. I mean, last week we were in the 80s, so you can't beat that.
Cannot beat that.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. I knew I was ready, to get out of Illinois, and this was one of those areas I just loved. And having, checked it out so many times, and with Annie being here, I knew that I was going to come down. So
absolutely. And then, what advice would you offer to students who are currently studying digital media marketing, if any?
Yeah, I'd say just try to pay attention to the trends. It's one of those things where obviously we're in the digital age, and that's always evolving, just like everything else around us. And especially, especially now and with all of our social media apps and all these different things, these things change quickly. How companies decide to go about branding their product or just their company name or how individuals do it. So it's important to pay attention to the trends, and try to stay ahead of the curve. And I think there's definitely opportunities out there for that. There's things you can pick up on, and that's the biggest thing that I'd say is trying to pay attention to the trends and try to be ahead of the curve.
So now, what is the best / worst, if or thing about being a sales representative? Best thing or worst thing, or?
Well, it depends on your personality. You've known me for a few years. Obviously, I'm a huge people person. I mean,
absolutely.
I'm just always talking. You can't shut me up. So I love meeting new people, being around people, seeing how I can help them out. Any way I can be of service to them. So it benefits me, in that aspect. So I'd say that's the biggest plus for me, is being able to talk to people constantly, be around people and help other people out. The worst thing is, it's just a numbers game, and sometimes things don't go in your favor, and it takes a lot of calling, a lot of networking and meeting people. And sometimes you feel like you might not be making progress, but you could be that close to just really turning the corner. You could have a down month. You could have a bad October, turn around, and your November's the best month you've ever had. So it's however you want to look at that. Some people would think that's a huge negative, but as long as you're consistent and keep believing in the process, I think it's actually a good thing.
Absolutely. All right, Noah. So now I'm going to have Devin jump on and ask you some questions as well about digital media marketing.
Cool.
What's up, John? How are you?
I'm good, Devin. Thank you. How are you doing?
Amazing. So, It's probably a lot of our viewers are probably interested in digital media marketing, about like why you chose it. So I was going to ask, why did you think digital media marketing was the right way to go?
Kind of like I was saying to Seamus, I knew I wanted to be in the Tabor Business School. I've always been interested in branding, and seeing that we are in the digital age, I felt like that's important. You see a lot of other schools that it might just be a marketing department, but I felt like it was kind of more specialized in digital media marketing. So that's something that stood out to me. I felt like there's always going to be a future in that. And whether it's, with a company or just your own personal branding, I felt like this stuff is applicable across the board. So I felt like it'd be a good choice for me.
So you majored in digital media marketing. Did you ever think about a minor, and if you didn't, would there be a minor that you would suggest for people?
I actually didn't look into it too much. Off the top of my head, I think there's a lot of routes people could go. I don't know. At the time, I don't think there was a finance minor, or there could have been, maybe just not a finance major. So I don't know what that situation is. I think that's always something that's good. I am not someone that enjoys numbers, and it's boring, but just kind of, after graduating, I think it's something that's really useful, and could be good for anyone. So, even if you don't like numbers, I think you could tough it out. I think there's a lot of value in kind of, having a good grasp of the financial world.
I totally agree. Accounting is not my strong suit, but I can see how it. Yeah. So I don't know about you, but I'm not that creative, and I'm majoring in digital media marketing. Do you think that would hinder me in this field, or does it really matter that somebody's not that good in the creative arts?
No, I mean, you say you're not that creative, but I mean, anyone, creativity isn't a thing, that you have to be born with. There's, if you read more and you're around creative people, and I mean, there's things that spark this creativity. So I wouldn't say that would hinder you. I mean, it really could spark some creativity and open a new path for you. I don't know why you just like what pushed you to get into it, but I mean, if you had an interest there, and like I said, I think it can definitely spark some creativity. You're going to be around a lot of great professors, great students, and I mean, I think it'd be a good thing for you.
I appreciate the advice. So being a sales representative, is your day the same every day, or is it different?
Kind of the same, but a lot of, I guess there's different challenges, different things that you come across every day. But as far as, calling people, walking them through different situations, trying to see how we could help them, I'd say like the main goal is the same there. But like I said, you got different fires to put out every day, things you've never seen. Obviously, I'm new to insurance, so I feel like I know a lot. I've learned a lot, but still every day it seems like there's something, and I have no idea. I've never heard of anything like it. So you're always learning, but I'd say the main part of the job stays pretty much the same day to day.
All right, so now we're gonna have Bailey jump on and ask you a few questions. And then we also have a comment from Anthony Rendino, one of our old teammates, says, "Great insight, John." So he loves it.
Thanks, Anthony.
Well, hello. So we have some questions about how the pandemic may have affected you. So our first question is, how has the pandemic affected your job?
I actually quit my first job mid-pandemic. In hindsight, I probably could have thought through things a little bit. It wasn't like the worst decision. It didn't put me in some horrible position. I didn't, luckily I have some other things going. I do some other stuff on the side. But I knew that I wanted to take some time to think about things, learn a little bit more, and maybe get a more clear picture of what direction I wanted to go in. So I did quit, and I wasn't working for 2.5, 3 months or something. But it didn't have, personally, it didn't have as much of an effect on me as some people, unfortunately. But it's one of those things. You just try to make the best of every situation and evaluate your own situation. But yeah, luckily I wasn't affected too badly by it. But I was not working for a couple months in there, but that was because I had decided to step away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so how has the pandemic changed marketing as a whole?
Well, you see a lot of companies, going to, as I've said a couple times earlier, we're in this digital age, and even more so now. You see how big Zoom is, and StreamYard. I haven't heard of this service, but I'm sure there's a bunch of them popping up. And as far as you know, there's all these big campaigns on stay home and all these things. So it is kind of geared, in my eyes, kind of geared around, you know, the family and staying home and, you know, products and services that can help you at home and make the whole process easier. So that's probably the biggest thing that I've noticed throughout.
Okay. And how do you think the pandemic will affect marketing and the future of marketing?
Do you mean like job opportunities?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I think, you know, hopefully we're on the tail end here, and you know, things are improving, and I'm confident that jobs will come roaring back. The last year, obviously the people that graduated, that would have been a really tough time. I think it is getting a lot better. You know, for the people graduating here in 2021, I'm optimistic about it. You know, I think the future is bright. I think, you know, we can only go up from here. So I think there's a lot to look forward to.
Okay. And our last question is, would you rather work from home or in an office?
Depends on the role, but I like being in sales. So I like being on the go. I don't prefer working from home at like my desk here. You know, if I had something, so like I'm doing more inside sales now. So it is just a lot of calling and, you know, anything like that or any teamwork. I would prefer being in the office. I think there's a lot of things you miss being at home that you might not notice. As far as communications, you know, little things that if you're in an office with however many other, you know, 20 other people and you work with 5-6 of them on a team and there's a little fire to put out, and that could be really easy to resolve if you're all working together, you know, your office is right next to theirs. But I think a lot of those things kind of get skipped over whenever you're working from home. And I think it could cause some problems. So I know there's definitely some people that prefer to work from home. You know, if you're someone that can do that, that's great. But I would prefer being in the office, like, you know, collaborating and being around the team like that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we have actually a question from good old Mason Bruce.
Oh, baby.
Oh yeah, you know that one's hot. What Tabor professor had the biggest impact on you?
Oh,
what Tabor professor?
You know, there were so many great ones. I mentioned Dusterhouse and Carey earlier. You know, Liberatory. I loved my class with Liberatory. I definitely learned a lot there.
Absolutely.
There's so many great professors. It's hard to choose who had the biggest impact. I think I got a lot out of all their classes, but I'd say the three that stand out the most to me are definitely Carey, Dusterhouse, and Liberatory.
Absolutely. Well, John, this concludes our questions. We all appreciate you taking time out of your day to answer these questions for us and on our Facebook Live. Hopefully people got some good information out of this and can work some of this into their future. Thank you again, John. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
You too.